How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and today I am back with the fabulous Robin, who was here with me like 4 years ago now. But so, Robin, how do you deal when the shit gets real? Or just tell us a little bit about yourself and what's been going on.
Well, as you know, I've been dealing over the course of, let's say, a year and a half with stage 4 cancer. Well, it's progressed to stage 4. And believe me, things get real in my reality. Okay. So, and you know the philosophy that I teach that the 3D is a reflection of our beliefs, our thoughts, what we focus on, the story that we tell. And it's definitely reflecting back to me the limiting beliefs, the negative beliefs, the poor beliefs that I have. So when all of that stuff gets reflected back to me, there's some days that I'm a master of my reality. And then there's other days I just completely fall apart. And I'm very open with the group and with the people that I coach. I get it. I get reacting. I get the anxiety. I get the stress. I understand it 100% completely. I'm not immune to it. But I think with what I teach, and it's about self-concept, if you don't know what self-concept is, that is how we conceptualize ourselves, or what is it we believe about ourselves in the 3D reality, okay? Who we believe we are, who we believe other people, the way that they react to us and treat us, right? All of those belief systems contribute to what's showing up in your 3D. So I do absolutely get triggered. And that's one of the things that I do teach in my courses is how to handle when you get triggered by your 3D, right? I teach meditation, I teach breath work, I teach tapping, all of the tools that you need in order to, it's one thing to have the reaction, it's one thing to feel the anxiety, but it's another to just sit in it. And I know we were on a live, just to give an example, we were on a live yesterday or the day before, and one of the girls in the live posted, she says, listen, it gets so bad, like I just lay on the floor, I can't even get up, and I'm sure you were waiting for me to like pop off on that. But
I was.
I kept saying to myself, be gentle, be gentle, be gentle, because she doesn't know, right? She doesn't know. So that's fine. Lay down on the floor, express your anger, your frustration, express the guilt, whatever's coming up for you. But then you need to quickly be able to pivot, right? We call that a pattern interrupt. You need to quickly interrupt that pattern and then keep it moving, because whatever you focus on is going to grow. So, I think the advice that I gave her was like, that's fine, but you can't sit in it. That's called victim mentality. Sitting in that energy, woe is me, nothing ever goes well. And for the record, I'm the best victim. I was the best victim on the planet. Okay. I have all the medals. All right. I was the perfect victim, the best victim. So coming out of that victim mentality, it was difficult for me too. And I understand that. We're conditioned though, right? We're conditioned that a lot of the messaging you see today, especially in politics, you're a victim. You're a victim. You should cry about it. You should fight about it. You should argue about it. Anyway, my point is, it's one thing when the shit gets real. It's one thing to react to it, but you need to quickly be able to pivot. And that is what I teach in my coaching and also like the philosophy of my courses. Does that answer the question?
It did answer the question. If you had to put a number on it, how many people do you think on this planet are stuck in victim mentality?
Let's put it this way. The majority that I see are in the United States. You have actual victims in third world countries, people who are actually victims, right? I think in the US, this is just my own personal opinion, may trigger people. I think that we have become a very spoiled society, entitled and ignorant. Most of the people in this country, they've never stepped out of this country. They don't know what it's like in other countries. They don't know the laws, they don't know the lifestyle, they don't know how amazing it actually is in this country. And believe me, I could fill up hours and hours, weeks of all the bad things about this country, but it's still, I have the chills, it's still better than any other country on this planet, right? So I see victim mentality as a disease, especially in the United States. Outside of this, I don't really see it. And I have friends in Europe, I have friends in Russia, China, I have friends in Central and South America. They're happy. They're not on social media complaining. Not like the Americans do. So anyway, my point, I would have to say close to 50% of the US, I would say, are stuck in victim mentality.
I honestly thought you were going to pick a higher number.
Well, if you look at, I mean, I guess we're going to segue into politics a little bit here. Look at the country and how it's divided, right?
Unfortunately.
50% voted this way, roughly 50% voted that way. So half the country is like, no, we're taking our power back. I'm not going to be a victim. I refuse to be a victim. And the other part of the country is, no, we're victims. People, they're going to just continue to take advantage of us, right? And that's, again, that's the messaging, that's the conditioning. I was raised like that too, right? That's all I ever heard. That's all you see on the news.
Yeah. I think a lot of people
So,
were raised that way. And there is a spiritual awakening happening right now, which is amazing. But yeah, we do. We all get conditioned to think, everything is happening to us and everything is happening as a result of something else instead of looking at it differently.
and to be fair, even for me, and I teach this, I still get stuck in that. I still get
Me too.
stuck in the politics. I still get stuck in the, especially dealing with the healthcare system. I get stuck in all of that too. The thing is to, I don't want to say stuck. I get sucked into it. The thing is not to get stuck in it. Is to quickly identify, oh, isn't that funny? I'm slipping into victim mentality again. Like this morning, right? Nothing went right for me this morning. Immediately I was like, see? And then I said, oh, girl, no, we don't want the data. No, 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 no. Let's call it back. Okay. So you got to interrupt that. You got to stop yourself from being the victim.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed between stuff that we've worked on in our group, and just for everybody's reference, Robin runs an amazing VIP group. We're like family in there. But
Yeah.
between what we've learned in there and what I've learned in therapy, my anxiety, knock on wood, is almost non-existent at this point. So it makes a huge difference.
So what do you think? I'm gonna flip the script here.
Oh
What
no.
would you say? Because I earlier I saw a comment from a girl on one of my videos that said, and it was a good video. It wasn't a doom and gloom tarot reading. I do tarot readings. So she said, well, easy for you to say you don't have, I don't know if it was crippling anxiety or you don't have anxiety. That's not true. That's not true at all. Everyone has anxiety. Everyone is anxious. Everyone has fears. So, with that in mind, what would you say is the number one thing that's helped you cope with, from what I've taught, cope with your anxiety?
Ooh. The number one thing would probably not be reacting to the 3D, because it actually happened to me this morning. And this is a terrible example, but we're gonna run with it. I was doing my dance workout. I love doing my dance workouts. It makes me happy. I was in it. I was having a good time. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh man, I feel kind of thirsty. Oh, if my throat gets too dry, I'm going to get anxious. I'm going to start gagging. What exactly started happening? I had to stop and be like, I'm going to gag. Hold on. Like the moment the thought even entered my mind, my reality was like, sure, we'll go along with that. If that's what you're thinking, we'll go along with that. And it ruined my whole thing because I was just fine until that thought crossed my mind. But then, of course, like we talked about, I was like, okay, no, girl, we're not doing this. We're having fun.
So what would you say today versus the past? what is the amount of space or time that goes by? So today, how much time goes by that you're able to quickly pivot versus in the past?
Oh, it's drastic. Like minutes maybe versus hours.
Days.
Yeah.
There were times, right? I've gone through cancer in the past, breakups. I've been ghosted. I've been dumped. While I was going through cancer, my partner left me. Okay. Like devastating. I've been through all of that stuff. Days, months that I was stuck in that energy. Okay. Now with the tools that I teach, minutes, maybe a day, depending on how, right? I had some bad news a couple weeks ago. It took me about a day to let it go, right? Because it brought up a lot of
Yeah.
fears. Like I'm dealing with fears like, oh my God, I'm gonna die tomorrow. That type of anxiety. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But thank God for those tools. I would have spent months in that energy if I didn't know these tools.
Do you have a favorite tool?
I would just say meditation. Meditation. I literally was addicted to meditation the first time around. So coming from not knowing any of these tools, never meditating, never having anything, just I felt like I was constantly suffering. Again, I was the best victim. Okay. So suffering was like a daily thing. The only thing that would alleviate that suffering was meditating. So there were days I would just sit in meditation. Days I would just sit and keep meditating. It was the only thing that would stop my brain from, you're going to die. Things are going to get worse. This is terrible. Oh my God, you need to worry about that. Like to stop all that chatter. So I think meditation for me, the next best thing would be breath work. Because not only, and meditation also helps your body as well, but not only does breath work calm your nervous system, but it also is infusing your body with oxygen, and disease cannot live in an oxygenated body, right? So when all else is failing, I pull out breath work. I do breath work every single day.
I always like to ask this question of like different people that meditate because I think it's helpful to people. I know for a long time for me, meditation was very intimidating and I never felt like I was doing it right. And it felt super
Same.
overwhelming. And my monkey brain was always doing something.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give to people that feel that way?
First of all, it's normal. That's common. No one explained that to me. Okay. So in the beginning, all I did was beat the crap out of myself. You can't even sit still for 5 minutes. Are you kidding me? You can't even stop stressing about this thing that probably won't even have. Like, I was so hard on myself. No one explained that to me. And when I'm talking to people and teaching people about meditation, it's probably the first thing I tell them is that's so common. All right. It's a skill. All you're doing is building a skill. Were you able to just wake up one day and go out and start up a car and drive it perfectly? No. You had to practice. You were probably terrible. I was terrible at it. Okay. My mother made me take driving lessons because she thought I was going to kill somebody. So it's a skill. Right. It's like anything else, you have to build the skill. You can't get into. So that's that old trauma though, where we're judging ourselves constantly, telling us we're not good enough, we're not doing it right, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Um, so for those of you who want to meditate and you're finding it difficult, just practice. Okay. What's the purpose of meditation? What do you think the purpose of meditation is?
To just be.
Just be and what?
To just be and to just love on yourself and just
There's no wrong answer.
forget the chaos.
So for me, when I first picked it up, when I first started it, it was to stop. I had like manic thoughts constantly. Again, that was when I was going through cancer the first time. It was to stop that mania, that, oh my God, oh my God, it was to put a halt to that. Now it's yes, to calm those thoughts, but also I go into that headspace, I go into that space, and I'm able to just create whatever I want. I'm able to be anything that I want. I'm able to feel healthy, right? And I truly believe that using that and my imagination is what is manifesting everything for me in my reality, right? So the more that I do that, and I'm imagining being healthy, imagining things are okay, imagining everything is going to be fine, everything is going to work out for me, that's exactly what I end up creating, right? So yeah, I use it to stop the intrusive thoughts, but now I look forward to it. Like, I love sitting in meditation and then just going into my imagination, like, where could I travel to today? Who could I talk to today? How could my body, how do I want my body to look today? I could just go into my imagination. And this is key to manifestation. That's the first step of manifestation, is deciding what you want. So I love using meditation kind of like a sandbox to just play around with, what would it feel like to live in this place? Or what would it feel like to live in that place? Anyway, my point though is, meditation, there's not just one specific use for meditation. And if you're struggling, just keep going. Okay? It's just a skill. Just keep practicing it.
And don't beat yourself up, because there's not really a wrong way to do it.
No. Because everybody struggles with it, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, who is a creative person with my mind always doing stuff? It's so hard. Like, I get in meditation and it's like, you haven't made Jackson's lunch yet. I'm like, not now. Be quiet.
So I think I listened for probably a year to every single Abraham Hicks video that I could find. I've probably listened to them 10 times, each one of them, right? Like, I've consumed everything. And she stresses that. Okay. She stresses about it's just practice. And that when those thoughts are coming up, you're more productive coming out of a good 15-minute meditation session than you are running around like a crazy person with your head cut off. You're way more productive. There's a saying about meditation. If you think you're too busy, that's exactly why you need meditation, right? To calm all of that down. And again, it does make you more productive. I believe it makes me more productive too.
Yeah, I think so too. I need that break, especially like middle of the day. It's like perfect for middle of the day when you just need to like reset to avoid that like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock slump.
So I want to mention this though too, because I talk about meditation to a lot of people, even my kids, right? I've talked to my kids about meditation, using that as a stress reducer, as a practice. Sitting and just closing your eyes, laying down and just trying to clear your mind. Yeah, that's a form of meditation. Okay. But so is, my son goes to the gym. He puts his headphones on and he goes to the gym. It's about training your mind to focus. Okay. So when my son goes to the gym and he puts his headphones on, he doesn't interact with anybody and he just goes from machine to machine, but that's him learning how to have a laser-like focus, because that's what you want with meditation. You want to have that laser-like focus. No, I don't want to focus on this crap over here that's popping off in my 3D. I want to focus on what it is that I want to create. Okay. So when my one daughter does a lot of crafts, that's her time to zone out. My other one draws. Okay, so she's a painter. She draws. She does all type of artistic stuff. Again, she's blocking out everything and focusing just on one thing. Those are forms of meditation as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Very healthy. I would cut the grass. That was my meditation. Or I love
Same.
driving cross country. That's a form of meditation for me. I'm only focused on one thing. And especially doing trips, I give myself, I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to answer the phone. I don't have to return messages. I don't have to answer emails. I don't have to work. My full-time job is just to drive from point A to point B. That's it. Just focus on that.
Yep.
So those little tasks are also forms of meditation. So if you're struggling, that's where I would start. Pick up a thing that you love to do and just focus on that for 20 minutes. And then gradually morph into, sitting in a quiet space.
Yeah. I actually just listened not too long ago to a podcast. I think it was Tony Robbins who had Eckhart Tolle on. And I
Yeah.
might have mentioned this previously, but he talked about like a way of meditation is just to like go outside and look at things and not define them. Like, don't be like, oh, that's a cloud. Like, just look at the cloud and enjoy the
No
cloud and don't
judgment.
define it.
Yeah. And Eckhart Tolle is the leader. He is the leader of this. If you've read any of his books, he helped me get to the point of where I'm at with meditation. I could drop into a deep theta state immediately. I can get in there. Like, it's very easy, but it's because of listening to him, especially around suffering. So if anybody is listening to this and you are suffering, which I was suffering a lot back in the past. Okay. If you're suffering, Eckhart Tolle, even if you're, just listen to him on YouTube or listen to some podcasts or whatever, Eckhart Tolle really helped me get out of that belief that I need to suffer. I think he's amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. It was really nice. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Tony Robbins just like introduced him and then he like muted his mic and Eckhart just talked for like 40 minutes straight
Yeah.
about all the things, and it was so interesting, especially because like he doesn't call he uses different words for like the 3D and like yourself. He calls it like horizontal living and like vertical living, which I found
Oh,
really interesting.
yeah. Yeah. He's definitely a leader.
He
A
is.
leader.
He's awesome. The Power of Now is incredible.
Yeah. That was one of the first books that I read from him.
I think it was the same for me. I mean, it's just
So that book, and I know I've talked to the group about this, Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins, was a game changer for me. When he introduces that scale of consciousness, I use it a lot in my material. I used it in my book as well, my own version. But Dr. David R. Hawkins came up with that scale of consciousness. And down at those lower level emotions, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the anger, that's all victim mentality. And when I saw that, I was like, I have lived in victim mentality since I'm 7 years old. And at the time, I think I was 46, 47. So imagine living for 40 years and then trying to break that habit. Another really good book is Breaking the Habit. Is it Breaking the Habit of Being You? Dr. Joe
break,
Dispenza?
breaking the habit of being yourself, I think.
Yeah. That was pivotal. I remember I went to the beach. I was on vacation and I read that book. I needed that because again, we're just so conditioned in our habits and our behaviors.
I think something too, and I've told you this before that really hit home with me, and I think it'll hit home with a lot of people, is how you explain debits versus credits, because we're such an instant gratification people. Like your explanation of debits versus credits and trying to balance it out really like puts it into perspective. So can you talk about that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, for 40 years, I'm over here suffering. I'm in victim mentality. I'm like, nothing ever works out. Guys are trash. The world is terrible. Like, just constantly complaining about everything. Once you start to use these tools, though, that I teach, I was able to immediately turn things around. Like, I know that sounds crazy, and I'll get into the debits and credits, but you can immediately, and that's why people who are really in victim mentality, when they pick up this program and they start to work it, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's actually working. Because you will immediately see a change. You'll see from that drastic suffering. All of a sudden, I started to feel peace. I started to feel love. So if you're in a really bad space, you can quickly turn things around. Now, where you get stuck, and this is the debits and credits, is your dominant thoughts and your dominant beliefs that is what is creating your reality. Okay. So do you want, and I say this to you guys all the time. I have bad thoughts. I have negative thoughts. I have negative beliefs. Are those preventing me from manifesting the amazing life that I desire? Not all of them, because the majority of my thoughts and my beliefs support, I'm always taking care of. It's somehow, and I truly believe this, somehow, some way, things have always worked out for me. The moments that I thought, that's it, it's over. I'm going to be living on the streets. I'm going to die tomorrow. Like worst case scenario, they can quickly change in a second. And they do, because the core belief, the core dominant belief that I have is things are always going to work out. Somehow money came in and I was able to take care of my kids. Somehow this happened and I was able to do what I needed to do, right? So it always ends up working out. Your dominant core belief is what is creating your reality. So then if you look at, and I have an accounting degree, so that's why I use the debits and credits. On the debit side, that's the nothing ever works out. I just started dating this guy, but all guys are trash. Like those are those beliefs. Okay. So those are all the debits taking away from what it is that you truly desire. Because what do you truly desire? You truly desire a loving, committed relationship with someone. But you got this chatter going on. So you want to offset that with credits. Okay. What are the credits? It doesn't matter. It's always working out for me. Everyone loves me. I always attract the most amazing people. I always have the best time, right? You have to offset. You want 1,000 credits to your 50 debits over on that side. Okay. Because it's always going to come down to your dominant beliefs. One of the things that we're going to talk about on Thursday is just randomly affirming. Okay. Just like a mechanical affirming. Everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out. Just whether you're putting any feeling, whether you're putting any thought, just keep affirming, because that will manifest for you. Okay. Because that is the dominant thought that's bouncing around in your head. Versus nothing's ever working out. See, now there's traffic. See, now there's this. See, now there's that. Okay. So with the debits and credits, you want more credits on this side that's supporting the life that you want to live, versus the debits, the limiting beliefs, the negative beliefs, the times that you're triggered, right? And I say this all the time, I get triggered. I still have negative beliefs. I still have limiting beliefs.
Same.
Right? But I'm counteracting those beliefs by those positives, by those credits. Okay. So the trick, or the secret, is to have more credits that support your desires.
Perfect. I love it. I love that analogy. I don't know. There's just something about it that just, I don't know. It just works for me.
We have that logical, we both have like that logical thing, right? So that, I think it just makes more sense to us. I'm a numbers person. Show me the study, show me the statistics, show me how it turned out, show me this, show me that, like a very logical mindset. Because this stuff is very intangible. Mm-hmm. Will prove that your thoughts are creating your reality. I can't. But I could tell you from my experience that when I changed my thoughts, my life actually changed. Can I give you definitive proof? No. Right? So for me, for the accountant in me, it's difficult for me to believe that that's going to work. But if I actually see the numbers, and I say this to you guys all the time, I have all my journals. I could pull out all my journals. I could see my T tools. I could see all the limiting beliefs that I had. And then I could see how I reprogrammed them. And then all of a sudden, the reality that I desired showed up, right? So for instance, my health. And I've struggled with my health. Struggled as in the past. I no longer struggle. But I struggled with my health for the past year and a half. Okay. And I every time I met with you guys, I'd say consistency and repetition. Consistent. If you woke up in your reality today and you didn't have what you wanted, me was health. If you don't have what you want, then it's because you're not being consistent and you're not using repetition, right? Well, that applies to me too. It applies to me too. So you have to build the repetition and the consistency, and then you have to build the credits. I had so many debits that were they were tied to a lot of emotional stuff, right? And that emotion, the victim mentality, then that's what's going to keep manifesting for you. So I had a lot that I needed to turn around. And it seemed like every time I sat down with a T tool, I'd find more limiting beliefs about my health. So I'm like, oh, here we go again. But I will say this. Yeah, it took a year and a half for me to really turn things around and finally start to see things showing up in my 3D reality, reflecting back to me that I am healthy. I know the process. I've done the process so many times. I have years of evidence. I have journals worth of evidence that this process does work. So if you said to me, well, give me definitive proof, I would have to just show you my journals. That's all I could show you is on this day, let's say January 4th of 2020, I had all of these limiting beliefs. I actually believed all this stuff about myself. But on May 3rd of that same year, I attracted in XYZ, the exact thing that I desired. And you could see in between those two pages, the work that I did, the affirmations that I did to build up those credits in order to get that. And then, don't forget with manifestation, we're manifesting every single thing. We're manifesting the good, the bad, the ugly immediately. For the most part, everything that's in our reality today, I've manifested. So I could say 95% of what's manifesting for me is amazing. It's everything I've ever wanted. It's the 5% that I'm hyper super focused on because I don't have it, but it's because of those limiting beliefs. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. And we tend to get hyper focused on what we don't have instead of what we do have.
Exactly. That's another. And that's just a human thing. That's just a human thing, right? You can have everything in the world, but if you don't have a man and you really want a relationship, that is what you're going to hyper super focus on 24/7, right? Health. So I don't have, I'm gaining health, but I didn't have health. So what do you think was my number one focus? Getting healthy, right? Reprogramming those beliefs.
For people that are kind of newer to like manifestations and affirmations, do you have some kind of like just general umbrella ones that you could give to the listeners?
Everything is always working out for me. Even when it looks like it's not, it still is. So if you're brand new to this and you're challenging what I'm saying, I would pick that up as my first affirmation. And I would use that for 30 days. Because here's what happens. Because there's a lot of complex processes that are happening in our brains as we're saying things. So if I'm saying an affirmation, let's say I'm saying I'm perfectly healthy. My human brain is saying, girl, what are you, crazy? You are not perfect. That's called resistance. Okay. So immediately I'm going to have little thoughts popping up. That's not true. So let's say you pick up everything's always working out for me, even when it looks like it's not. your brain is going to be throwing out resistance. No, remember that relationship? That didn't work out for you. Your brain is going to start picking out evidence that that's not true, which is fine. But throughout the process, because of RAS, your reticular activating system, your RAS is like the filter. Whatever you focus on, your RAS is just going to bring you more. That's that's the algorithm, let's say, to your reality. Okay. RAS builds the algorithm. So if I'm focused on, and I keep saying, everything's always working out for me, even if it looks like it's not, but I don't believe it. There will be a point, right? If you look at it like this. So in the beginning, I start with the affirmation and I have resistance and I have these thoughts popping up like, that's not true, girl. You know, that's not true, blah, 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 blah. At some point, my RAS is going to say, well, actually, no, that is kind of true. And it's going to recall a time where things did work out for me, even when right? So then you'll start gaining evidence to support that things do actually work out for you. As you're doing that, that is reprogramming the old belief that it's never working out for you, right? So you're going to be gathering up evidence to support that that's actually true. And the more that you do that, the more that you're going to see evidence in your reality that that's true. Again, RAS, right? So if I'm saying, and it's funny because I know we talked, I said I wanted to go to Ireland, Wales, Scotland, the UK, and spend the summer there. Well, that's been my focus. In my imagination, I'm traveling all over Europe. I'm having the time of my life. I'm having a pint in Scotland. Like, I'm over here in Wales. I'm meeting my family. I'm doing all the things. So then what do you think? Oh, I have the chills. What do you think I keep seeing in my algorithm or in my 3D reality? People are coming up to me saying, hey, have you ever been to Scotland? Hey, I'd love to go to Ireland. My social media feeds are now getting filled with traveling to all of these places. There's literally an account on TikTok that came up today that says, would you like to travel to Scotland? I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. So your RAS, what you're going to start seeing in your reality because of what you're focused on, is supporting those dreams. I also say I have a luxury lifestyle. So what else do you think pops up in my reality? Luxury places to live, luxury homes, luxury apartments, private jets, champagne, all the luxury things, going to the spa. That's what keeps popping up in my algorithm, right? Was it always like that? No, I always believed I was going to be poor, right? I was born poor. I'm going to die poor. That was essentially what I was taught growing up. I reprogrammed that. Right? So as you start to see it, we call that birds before land. As you start to see it, or you see other people, oh, I'm going to Ireland. Oh, hey, I'm moving to Scotland. As you start to see that in your 3D, you get excited. It builds momentum. It's like, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening. And then boom, it shows up in your reality. I love it. I love it. It's so exciting.
It is exciting.
So you're going to come and visit, right?
Absolutely, I am. There, no doubt about it.
Great. Love it.
I also like asking this as a fellow writer. Was writing your book like cathartic for you to get it all out and to like not only get out everything that you went through, but to like share your wisdom with people?
Great question. When I was writing the book, one, I wanted to be very careful. The things that I had gone through in my marriage, out of respect for my children, I wanted to handle it in a very respectful way for them. I could care less what he thinks. But, you know, I didn't want to hurt my kids. So going into the book and then with the publisher and the editors and all that, they wanted me to share everything. And that would have sold books for sure. But I pushed back and I said, I'm not I'll share some pivotal things, but I'm not going to share the details out of respect for my kids. Okay, so that was number one. And maybe in a later book, I'll cover that stuff. But for the years that I've watched Abraham Hicks and also Bashar, I had a one-on-one session with Bashar a couple years ago. This has come up a number of times when you're writing a book. You do not want to go back and keep rehashing those negative situations, because what that's doing is then it's going to create it again in your future. Whatever you're rolling through your brain in your imagination is what you're going to create. And I'll use this as an example. Neville, years ago, when he first started going out and teaching, he had this event in New York City. And it was like in a theater, and all these people showed up, and it was free. And all these people are like, "You're crazy. That stuff doesn't work." He says, "Okay, try this experiment." And this is the ladder. He said, "For the next week, all I want you to do is just keep affirming, I will not climb a ladder. 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 And if you end up climbing a ladder, by this time next week, you will show up here again." Okay? But if you don't climb a ladder, that's fine. It doesn't work for you. All these people ended up showing up. Why? Because they ended up climbing the ladder. Why does that work though? Because you saying, "I will not climb a ladder," you're imagining yourself climbing the ladder. Am I wrong?
Nope.
What's going through your head? Climbing a ladder. So when you're imagining climbing the ladder, that's what's going to manifest. So now take dating. I don't want any cheaters. Immediately what pops up are all the cheaters that I've ever had in my life. What do you think I'm going to manifest? So writing the book, I was very careful to not go into those old stories, give some context, but not go into them so much that I would recreate it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, been there, done that. Don't want to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So in the future, and the advice that Bashar gave me was, if you could tell it and not associate with it, then tell it. But if you tell it and you're still associating yourself with that story, which I still do, then that's what you're going to keep creating. So again, I was cautious about doing that, right? I still associate myself with that past, right? I'm detached from it, yeah, blah 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 blah, but that still is in my mind, that was my past. And you can
What was it like
reprogram
meeting
that.
Bashar?
So it was supposed to be face to face. I had moved to LA, and I looked on his site, and because I've seen him in a group setting. I've seen him a couple times in group settings. But I was like, "Oh, let me see if he's got anything going on here in LA." And I saw that you could book a one-on-one session with him at his home in LA. He works in Hollywood too. He does films and things. You should look him up. He's been involved in a lot of really cool movies too. So it was supposed to be face to face, and then COVID hit.
Oh no.
So it ended up being Zoom. Now, this is super, super fascinating to me. I had been because it was like I booked it, but it was like 6 months out, because he books up really fast. I don't think I checked, I want to say a couple months ago, to see if I could book again with him. And I don't think he's taking any one-on-one clients right now. So it was a couple of months. So over the course of the couple of months, I was gathering up questions that I wanted to ask him. And of course, if you've seen Bashar, you don't want to ask him any stupid questions,
No.
because he can be very intimidating. So
He's funny though. He'll make a joke
he
out
is
of it.
he is funny. So all of the questions that I wrote down, and there was a video that I saw the other day, I think I shared it in the group, where he said, "I'm your higher self. I am actually you answering your question. Okay, so I'm writing all these questions down, and they're brilliant questions. I'm like, oh, he's gonna think I'm the smartest person ever. I have the best questions ever. I would go to sleep, I would wake up the next day, and I would get the answer. I would receive the answer. This is how I
That's
know
awesome.
manifestation works. This is how I know manifestation works. This is how I know if you write a question down in your journal and you just let it go, you'll get the answer, you'll get the solution. It's going to work itself out. Like I had a cluster this morning. Okay? That's going to throw my whole week off. Of course I reacted to it. I got annoyed. But then the whole way home, I just kept saying, "Wait, it's going to work out. It's going to be fine. I'm not even going to worry about it. I don't even need to touch it. It's going to work itself out behind the scenes. I don't need to go there." So every question that I had to ask him ended up getting answered before I even had the call with him. So like the day before, I was scrambling for different questions. Of course, I was able to come up with other questions. I had asked him about my business, and it was really cool. He knew right away that I was a tarot reader. He calls it tarot. Like, I'll never forget that. He said, "Well, whether it's with your tarot readings." I'm like, "How does he know I'm doing tarot?" Like, it was weird because my name isn't on my channel. At the time, it was Your Divine Essence was the name of my business. I asked him about my business. I actually asked him about abortion. So I'd always been pro-choice. My whole life I was pro-choice. And then I hate using spiritual awakening. I had some experiences happen. And then all of a sudden one day I woke up and I'm pro-life, and I'm like, wait a second, we have to stop killing these babies. Oh my God. So that was giving me so much anxiety. And how do I do this? And I'm not one to protest. You're never going to see me. And I'm never going to tell anybody you shouldn't have an abortion. Like, that's not me. So I felt like morally, I really didn't know how to handle this. And I asked him for advice, and he was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And essentially, I'll say this. I'm not there yet though with my beliefs. Essentially, because all of this is really just being imagined. We're not really killing babies. It's hard for me to, I'm not there yet with my beliefs. Okay. So that's why I want to keep prefacing that. But he said that this happens to teach us to be responsible. There's always a lesson. And then that baby that gets unalived is aware that they're not coming. He's like, there's no damage. They're already aware. There's a contract. There's an agreement before we come into this lifetime that's what's going to happen. So he's like, there's no babies are really being harmed. Again, it's hard for me like, it's been difficult for me to let that go. I see myself gradually releasing those beliefs. But the information that he gave me was so valuable. It was one of the best experiences I had. And I've seen Abraham Hicks. I've had sessions with Tabash. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tabash, but this guy, he channels, it's very similar to Bashar. He channels. I had a one-on-one reading with him. I've done a lot of psychedelics, so I've had all kinds of experiences there. But Bashar, hands down, was like, I'd love to do another one-on-one with him, for sure.
That would be amazing. I'd love to do one. It would be interesting just to like experience that.
So one of the things I'm going to get really crazy. One of the things that I asked him about in a past life regression that I did, I was shown that in one of my lives, we have multiple lives going on. Okay. In one of my lives, I am a reptilian. And it freaked me out. I didn't tell anybody. I was afraid to tell people because in the spiritual community, oh, reptilians are bad, blah, 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 blah. I asked him about it, and he didn't react. Like, he wasn't even surprised. It was like, it was a confirmation, really, that that is a life that I'm living. But he said, well, what did it show you? And I explained what it showed me. And he said, and what did that teach you? And I was like, oh, damn. And I said, he goes, exactly. He said, so you were shown that past life or that life so that you could see the parallels in this lifetime with that life. And he's like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, there's nothing, like, your reaction to the reptilian thing, you're overreacting. It's not that big of a deal. So I forgot, though, to ask him. I believe that I was visited when I was living in Colorado by an entity. And I wanted to ask him about it. I forgot all about it. I don't know how I forgot about it, but I want to go back to him to ask him about that experience. I thought my initial thoughts about it over the past couple of years, gathering up new information, have changed. And now I really want to know who it was. And that this a being just appeared in the middle of the night, woke me up out of dead sleep, and was standing there in the doorway from my bathroom into my bedroom. And I have never been so scared in my entire lifetime. And Bashar says we're not ready for contact yet. And he explains that if we came in contact with some of these beings, it would be similar to running through the woods and coming face to face with like a saber-toothed tiger. The amount of fear that you would feel from an apex predator about to eat you is the same energy as these beings. As I'm laying in my bed, I'm woken up, I open up my eyes and I see this being standing there. If I could have disappeared through my mattress, through the floor, I would have. I was frozen. I had a gun in my nightstand, a taser, like I have all this stuff. I couldn't move. And I just laid there. I just laid there and I just prayed. Please, God, please, 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 someone come and save me. Oh my God, please, please, Archangel Michael, get here, please. Someone please save me. Someone please protect me. Blah, 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 blah. As soon as the entity was gone, this is how much it scared me. I got down on my knees and prayed. Like, I got down and prayed at my bed. I was like, please protect me. I started with all kinds of protection stuff, rituals. I was wearing an Archangel Michael necklace. Like, you don't even know. I pulled out all the stops. So I'm dying to find out. I have what I thought it was and now what I think it is are two different things. And I need to talk to Bashar because he'll tell you what it was. But a lot of people have experiences. Yeah. And they ask him and he'll say, oh, well, that was an Anunnaki, blah, 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 blah. But it still makes me nervous. Like, do I want to know? Do I really want to know?
I mean, you got to know for when it comes back.
So I don't believe it'll come back. This is just what I have in my little brain. Because I have prayed so much that it never comes back. Please, please, please. No, 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 no. I've never been so scared in my entire life.
It's probably up there going, man, she overreacts a lot.
Well, I have the chills. Here's the crazy thing, is we were speaking telepathically. So my brain, I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh my, I'm trying to sink into the floor, like through my mattress into the floor and disappear. And I'm saying in my mind, oh my God, 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 what is it? And it was a masculine energy, is saying, it's okay. In my voice. It's okay, we know him. It's okay. No, 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 you're safe. And I was like, are they lying? Are they tricking me? I don't know. I think I should still be afraid. So yeah, that was my one experience with, let's say, something outside of this planet. I know
Your
people will
fight
think I'm crazy, but it's
your
real.
fight your fight or flight was like having a mental breakdown.
I was like, let's just disappear from this planet right now. Let's go. Yeah, it was crazy. So I meant to ask him about that. That was the number one thing. And it just left my mind. I even had it written down on the paper. So it
You weren't
may
meant to
not
ask
have,
him.
yeah, I believe that. He may not, maybe I wasn't ready for the answer. Right. And I don't know that I'll ever be ready for the answer, because when he talks about aliens and stuff like that, I just have to, I can't listen to it. It scares the crap out of me. Do you believe in
Yeah.
aliens?
I'm like in the middle, I guess you would say. Like, I believe there's something greater than us or something other than us. Like, I feel like we can't be the only ones that exist. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, like, how narcissistic are we that we think we're the
Exactly.
only people?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Like, to me, like, other people are like, oh, there's nobody else that could exist. To me, it would make more sense if others did exist. Like, why? How are we possibly the only ones? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
I've had too many experiences in medicine and in deep, deep meditation. I've had way too many experiences with beings. None of those beings ever impacted me the way that one in Colorado. But I've just had, like, I did ayahuasca and I had beings over me doing surgery over my stomach. I mean, yeah, I was in the midst of a psychedelic trip. Could I have been creating it in my mind? Of course. I
I
do
have deja vu
believe,
a lot. That's what I have a lot. And like things that like I don't actually remember happen, but when it's happening to me, I'm like, I've been here before.
and that's
So,
you. The way that Bashar explains that is that's you, like, remembering that timeline,
yeah.
right? It's just you remembering when it's happening that you created that. Like in ayahuasca, so I had gone to do ayahuasca the first time right after I finished with my chemo treatment from the first time I had cancer. And you know, how much I've grown since that point. I really thought I was broken. I really thought I was broken. And I went on a journey, and it was perfect, right? There were no mistakes. But I went on this journey. I have to do medicine. I have to fix myself. There's something wrong with me. So initially that's why I went and did ayahuasca. But during ayahuasca, and this helped me get out of victim mentality. During ayahuasca, I was shown myself in a cave before coming to this life. And I'm at like a drafting table and I roll out these plans and I look up and here's all the people in my life, my mom, my dad, my stepdad, my ex-husband, my kids, everybody that had participated in my life is all here in front of me. And I'm looking down at the plans and I'm like, okay, who wants to be my mom? Okay, you're going to come in and you're going to be this way. Now who's going to be the dad? Okay. Yeah, I asked for them to volunteer and told them the roles that they were going to play. So coming out of that, I was like, wait a second. I planned all of this? That's hard to wrap your mind of. Now, is that true? I don't know. But it really helped me get out of victim mentality. Like, I came here for an adventure. How boring would it be if everything was just easy?
Mhm.
Really, though,
Yep.
how
Yeah.
boring. how boring would a trip to Ireland be if I didn't have to do some stuff to get there? If it just came easy to me, because we take that stuff for granted.
We do.
What would
And
what would my body of work be when I leave if everything was just easy? I don't know. That sounds boring to me.
right.
Now I don't mind it being easy, in the future.
Well, and I think, at least myself included, we've all gotten stuck in that. I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. I need to be fixed. I'm the problem. It's me. When, like, that's not the case at all. I mean, can you make yourself different? Yes. But, like, you're not a terrible person. With so many of us beat us, I'm terrible. I'm terrible. Like, no wonder we're all depressed and angry and in victim mentality.
Well, look at social media. I think it's getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who actively participates in social media, I will go and I will look at comments, and I see people trashing each other.
Mm-hmm.
The things they say, like to beauty influencers. Oh, well, yeah, fine. Your lashes look great, but your nose is still huge. Who says stuff like that? Like, to deliberately make other people feel insecure.
Yeah. Yeah, I had
So,
my girlfriend came on and talked about that. She is a huge, very famous, very well-known photographer in Chicago, and she's beautiful. Beautiful, long blonde hair, just gorgeous. And I mean, she gets millions and millions of views on all her videos. And she
yeah.
talked about that. Like, people will be like, "Oh, you had a beautiful," like, she's like, people would make me feel self-conscious about something that I've never been self-conscious about before. Like, your forehead's huge. She's like, "Is it? I've never looked at my forehead like that before."
And when you're putting yourself out there, and you know this as a creator, when I'm putting myself out there, when I first started doing tarot readings, I never showed my face. I was so insecure about my looks. I've been able to reprogram that to now, if somebody makes a comment about my looks, no one ever makes a comment negative about my looks. Honestly, I haven't seen anything except for like, why do you always wear hats? Or you just like my dad. I've had like couple of comments like that. But if someone made it a comment about my appearance today, my very first thought is, I'm just happy to have a body. I don't care if my
Mhm.
forehead's too big. I'm happy I have a forehead. Like,
Yep.
I'm happy that I woke up this morning. Are you crazy? Okay. My hair's all falling out. Like, my eyelashes and my eyebrows are falling out. Do you think I care? No. I'm happy that I woke up this morning. I'm happy that I
Mhm.
felt decent. I'm happy that I have stuff going, exciting things going on. So, but that's the power of self-concept. Um, I'll go to that. That's the scar experiment that I talk about all the time.
Mhm.
These people came in and they said, okay, we're going to paint a scar on your face, and we're going to send you out into the world, and you're going to interact, and then you're going to come back and tell us if people treated you differently. So they paint this terrible scar on like 50 people on their face, and they show them the scar, and it's hideous, it's disgusting. But right before they walk out the door, it's taken off, but the person doesn't know. They still walk out into the world thinking that they have the scar. So what do they come back and report? People stared at me. People treated me differently. They sneered at me. They laughed at me. They didn't take my order, or it took forever to get my food. And then they were shown, you didn't actually have a scar. So where is that coming from? It's coming from your insecurity that people are going to treat you differently. And once you reprogram that, like, have I ever had to wait for my food? Yeah. Have I ever had somebody sneer at me? Yeah. Now when I walk around and that stuff happens, now I'm like, oh, I'm sure it has nothing to do with me. They're probably just pissed off about something. Or,
Yeah,
oh,
and
well,
most of the time it doesn't. We all think that everybody's so concerned about us, and they don't give a fuck about us.
we're so narcissistic to think that the entire world is reacting to just us, right? And I talk about Everybody has narcissistic traits, right? And just lean into it, okay? Accept it. The more that you recognize that, we have those types of thoughts and beliefs, the faster you could let them go and reprogram them. So it's studies like that, though, that I look at again, because I love the numbers, I love the studies. I like to see, prove to me that this is true, or prove to me that this is false. I love those types of studies because every one of them came back and reported that they were treated differently, but they didn't have a scar. So then why the behavior? Like, it just debunks everything that we believed about what people say and do. And most times when people are sneering at you or leaving negative comments, why do you think they're doing that? Because they're insecure.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with you.
Nope.
Has nothing to do with you. Now, did you? Sorry, I'm hijacking you again. Did you feel insecure when you first started creating content on social media?
Oh man, I've felt insecure most of my life. So yeah.
Like you're talking like body image stuff?
Body image, voice, I'm weird.
Oh, we talked about the voice.
I love being weird now, but like I was always the weird one.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. I was always the weirdest.
And I grew up in that era where everybody that was beautiful was skinny, 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 skinny. You don't see the people that you do now. It was everybody was was this big on the cover of a magazine. So if you didn't look like that, you were ugly.
Do you remember Twiggy, the model?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody was super thin.
I remember the first plus size model on what was Tyra Banks' show called? Next Top Model. She was like a size 3, and that was considered a plus size. And I was like,
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a cow compared to her.
Exactly.
She's not overweight. Well, I would say this. Most of my life, I thought I was overweight, and I wasn't.
Same.
And that's really sad. And I have girls. I have 2 girls. Knowing that I passed some of that along, because my little one used to be really insecure about her body. And when I realized that that's what I was showing her, I was like, I need to reprogram this. Well, I don't want her thinking she's perfect. I tell her all the time, there's not one thing I would change on you. You are absolutely just perfect. There's nothing I would change on you. But when I saw my oldest one, not so much, but my youngest one definitely started where she was like, no, I ate too much already today. Like weird stuff. And she's tiny. She's a tiny little thing. When I saw that I passed that behavior on to her, I was like, oh no, I need to stop it. And then I need to figure out how to help her reprogram that. Because I don't ever want her thinking anything bad about herself,
Mm-hmm. No, and I mean, as women, we are so damn hard on ourselves. So damn hard on ourselves. But
yeah. Agreed.
What is some final advice you want to leave my listeners with?
Final advice. I have it right here.
Words of wisdom, whatever you want.
Yeah, and this is from a video that I saw from Bashar. He was talking about cancer the other day. I know I talked to you guys about it the other day. But I just added this into my affirmations. I have it here. I have like 2 stickies where I have it written. My number 1 affirmation over the past couple of weeks, and it has made such a difference. I no longer associate even my pain, my nausea, the stuff that I'm going through. I no longer like associate with it. It's almost like I'm just observing. It's helped me remain very detached, and it's I can and I will. I can and I will. That affirmation, because again, If you just started out using it and you don't believe that you can and you don't believe that you will after 30 days. You will find evidence. You will continuously, over time, find more and more evidence that you have and you did. And that whatever happens in the future, you will be able to tackle it. You can and you will. So I would say, I know I gave another affirmation earlier, but if you're doubting yourself, take that affirmation. I can and I will. And I mean, be stubborn about it. Be stubborn. I can and I will. That's it.
And for anybody that wants to join our lovely VIP community or just work with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social media platforms. So I'm on the TikTok, IG, Facebook, all of them, Pinterest, YouTube. Look for Life Mastery with Robin, Robin. I have links in all of my socials where it'll take you to my website, or you can go to my website, lifemasterywithrobin slash .com/home. Okay, don't forget the home. But yeah, even if you just Google, all of my social medias will come up. Definitely check out my stuff. I'm running a special for December. I'm running a ton of specials for December. So if you want to book a reading with me, a coaching session, hypnosis, I'm a certified Reiki master, certified hypnotist, certified life coach, certified NLP. What else?
She has so many she forgot.
Yeah, might be a couple more in there too. Any of those services, my hypnosis is literally going to be a game changer. It's just getting more and more powerful every day, the more that I practice it. So highly recommend any of my hypnosis. Go over to YouTube, just check out any of my content over there.
And I can guarantee Robin will be back because I will make her come back. But
yes.
Thank you so much for being here, Robin.
No, thanks for having me.
And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. I'll see you all next episode.